You're promising us this is not like The Who.
No.
You are not going to have, we're not going to see that this is your last tour, but then several weeks later, there'll be another new tour. No, this is it.
Peter was the biggest act in the world.
They were reinventing the rules of how big was.
It was the year of Frampton. It was 1976.
Fantastic. That's what you call a rock star. Peter Frampton!
Anybody ever heard the records and the demos and things, you say, who's that guitar player? It's wonderful, you know.
If 1976 is the high, you're now going down to the lows. Let's be candid. Drink, drugs, any of that?
Oh, yeah. Hello! Hi! You want to come in? This is the studio.
The years between now and then have been long and hard, but through good news and the blues, the one constant in his life has been his guitar.
This gentleman's been away from us for quite a time now, and I must say it's so good to have him back. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Peter Frampton.
There are artists whose careers can be traced in neat ascending lines. Then there are those whose lives resemble the rise and fall of a great rock opera, a thundering overture, a tempestuous middle, and an elegiac finale that somehow feels more triumphant than tragic. Peter Frampton's story belongs squarely in the latter category. Now in his mid-70s, Frampton has been reflecting on a musical journey that spans over 6 decades, from the squeaky clean teen idol of British mod pop through the world-straddling success of Frampton Comes Alive to an unheralded late-career renaissance capped by accolades and a farewell tour tinged with poignancy. If his boyish face once adorned the walls of screaming fans in the 70s, today it carries the weathered gravitas of a man who's seen stardom's shine and shadow and chosen to face both with humility. "I never really set out to be a star," Frampton told People in 2023. "I just wanted to play guitar. I was always happiest when I was in the corner of the room noodling away. Fame was something that happened around me, not to me."
In 1957, Elvis Presley was king, Buddy Holly was happening, and 7-year-old Peter Frampton was living in Beckingham, Kent, England.
Peter Kenneth Frampton was born on the 22nd of April 1950 in Beckenham, Kent, the son of Owen Frampton, a schoolteacher and art department head. His home was a nurturing environment for creativity.
Peter found an instrument that looked like a guitar in his attic, and he begged his father to teach him to play.
I gave him a few chords, just ordinary guitar chords, that he could play on a 4-stringed instrument. And from then onwards, I sat back and let him carry on.
By the age of 7, Peter had already picked up the ukulele. Soon he was mastering the guitar, as well as piano, by ear.
Peter Frampton is, first and foremost, a guitar player. And long before all the madness of megastardom, playing guitar was all that mattered.
It was at Bromley Technical School, where his father was on the staff, that Peter first crossed paths with David Jones, a fellow student better known in later life as David Bowie.
I would ask him, who plays guitar? And he said, well, I think that Jones character, he plays guitar or saxophone or something. And so, okay, well, Jones. What's his name? Dave Jones, okay.
Their friendship, largely forged in mutual admiration for American rock and rhythm and blues, would flicker throughout their careers.
David and I went to school together. His art teacher was my father, and he was in my dad's class.
"We used to play Buddy Holly and Eddie Cochran during lunch breaks," Frampton recalled. "David would strum along and do a bit of singing. Neither of us had any clue where it would all lead." The first stirrings of his professional career came in his early teens. At 16, he joined The Herd, a pop band with chart success and a dedicated fan base.
Just open your mind, my tangled emotions, I need to unwind, 'cause baby...
He was quickly anointed the face of 68 by teen magazines, a designation that both flattered and unsettled him.
But the Herd's management saw Peter as more than a hot guitar player. They saw him as a steamy sex symbol who could attract teenage girls.
"It was a double-edged sword," he later admitted. "Suddenly I was on every cover, and yet the music felt like it was playing second fiddle. I didn't want to be the pretty one. I wanted to be the player.
They sort of went down the line and said, "You'll sing." No, I play, no, you'll sing. Okay. So it was put upon me.
Disillusioned with the Herd's commercial sheen, Frampton sought a grittier musical identity.
He left the Herd and formed a new band with kindred spirit Steve Marriott, another accomplished lead guitarist.
In 1969, he joined forces with Steve Marriott, fresh out of Small Faces, to form Humble Pie.
We formed Humble Pie, Steve and I, to get away from being screamed at. We wanted to be accepted for the music.
So all about, it took me a while to suss it out. And what I lay down up my snout didn't help me none.
It was a band grounded in blues rock, with a sound that roared through the speakers rather than whispered through transistor radios.
A&M Records thought Humble Pie's image was perfect for the American market. So in 1969, they signed the band to a record deal and brought them across the Atlantic.
Their debut, As Safe as Yesterday Is, and the following album, Town and Country, demonstrated a band unafraid to blend acoustic sensitivity with raucous amplification. Frampton's guitar work, lyrical, sharp, expressive, was the band's melodic anchor. But the partnership with Marriott was combustible. There were too many egos in one small room, Frampton said with a wry smile during a 2005 interview. We were like brothers. We fought. We loved each other. We drove each other mad.
The whole thing happening with Humble Pie became so difficult that I think for his own salvation he had to leave.
By 1971, Frampton was out, chasing the dream of a solo career. The transition was not immediate. His first few albums, Wind of Change and Frampton's Camel, earned critical nods but modest sales. The pieces were there, the songwriting chops, the tone of his signature black Les Paul Custom, the voice, smooth and sincere. But commercial ignition remained elusive.
In the mid-1970s, Peter Frampton came alive.
Then came 1976. Frampton Comes Alive, a double live album recorded in San Francisco and Long Island, became the unlikeliest of blockbusters.
I'm leading on the road. There has to be a force who do our...
Released with little fanfare, it captured something electric, the warmth of his rapport with audiences, the crisp energy of his band, and the now iconic use of the talkbox on tracks like Do You Feel Like We Do? I never imagined a live album would be the one, Frampton reflected decades later. It was meant to fill the gap while we figured out the next studio record, but suddenly it was like someone had lit a fuse. The record sold over 10 million copies, briefly outselling Rumors, Hotel California, and even Saturday Night Fever.
In 1976, Frampton Comes Alive was the biggest selling album in history.
In that first year, everything that it generated, Frampton Comes Alive generated, was, 60 million. I had become the golden goose.
His blockbuster double album spun on nearly every turntable in America.
It just went through the roof. Overnight, my life changed.
Overnight, Frampton was not just successful, he was the biggest rock star in the world. I couldn't leave the hotel without being mobbed. There were girls fainting, security everywhere. It was madness, and I wasn't ready for it.
Frampton's photogenic good looks and soaring guitar licks rocketed him to the outer reaches of megastardom.
But the higher the ascent, the greater the fall.
In the summer of '76, there was no rock star of greater magnitude than Peter Frampton.
We were saying yes, 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 yes to everything.
What followed was the classic cautionary tale of overexposure.
Title single from I'm In You shot straight to number 2.
I don't care where I go when I'm with.
The next album, I'm In You, was an attempt to capitalize on the momentum, complete with Frampton's shirtless torso on the cover.
You to look like this and take your shirt off. Peter isn't going to think about what it's going to look like 20 years from now. I think he would be in the moment and say, I'll take my shirt off.
It sold well, but critically it was dismissed as glossy and limp.
I think, in retrospect, probably could have taken a little more time, figured it out a little more, worked on that cover a little differently. Because all of a sudden you had a different Peter Frampton on that cover.
Then at the height of his fame, he said yes to a movie.
Then came the film, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, a gaudy rock opera produced by Robert Stigwood, starred Frampton alongside the Bee Gees in a reimagining of the Beatles' concept album. It was a disaster.
I said, Peter, you're already the #1 act in the world. What is this going to do for you? I mean, is it going to make you bigger? You can't. I mean, you're as big as anyone can possibly get.
It was a bomb that rocked the record industry and devastated Peter's career.
I should never have done it, Frampton later confessed. I thought it would be like Help, or A Hard Day's Night. Instead, it was a mess, critically, artistically, personally.
He became like a horrible joke. He became a lunchbox.
As if fate were piling on, he was involved in a near-fatal car crash in the Bahamas not long after.
As he twisted along the island road, the last 18 months of highlights and heartache weighed heavily on him.
It was just, there was so much on my mind that my mind just shut down.
Hospitalized and shaken, Frampton disappeared from the public eye. When he re-emerged, the spotlight had shifted.
I needed to recharge. I had the time, for the first time in a long time, to look at what's going on in my life, work out what's important, and get rid of all the bad and move on.
To the point of them thinking I was going to lose my arm, my right arm.
For a guitarist, that would have not been good.
No, it was not good at all.
But Frampton fought his way back.
No matter how many times he gets knocked down, he gets back up again.
The 80s were unkind to Frampton's commercial fortunes, though musically he remained committed. He released a string of albums, Breaking All the Rules, The Art of Control, Premonition, all solid, none of them hits. But he kept touring, kept refining his craft, and in the process gained the respect of fellow musicians.
Thanks to childhood friend David Bowie, things turned around for Peter Frampton in the 80s.
One of those was his old-school friend David Bowie. In 1987, Bowie invited Frampton to join the Glass Spider Tour, giving him not just a lifeline, but validation.
Frampton returned to the stage with a vengeance, this time letting his guitar skills speak louder than his voice.
David was a true friend, Frampton later said. He rescued me, musically, emotionally, and he reminded me that the guitar was where I belonged. The 90s and early 2000s were a period of quiet reappraisal. Frampton leaned into his strengths, instrumental finesse, melodic composition, and tasteful restraint. In 2006, he won a Grammy Award for Fingerprints, an all-instrumental album that showcased a guitarist in full command of his expressive powers. I finally stopped chasing hits, he said. I just played what I loved, and to my surprise, people listened.
Getting older just sucks.
It does, and I thought that's what it was, when I first felt some weakness in my legs.
In 2019, Frampton made an announcement that cast a different light on his recent prolific streak. He had been diagnosed with Inclusion Body Myositis, IBM, a degenerative muscle disorder that would eventually rob him of the ability to play guitar.
The only thing is, with this disease, I just didn't know how quickly it was going to progress.
And it's called IBM.
Yeah, Inclusion Body Myositis.
It's like your muscles are disintegrating from the inside out, he explained. There's no cure, just time. The news was met with sadness, but Frampton himself framed it as a call to action. He embarked on a farewell tour, not as a swan song of pity, but as a final gift to fans. I wanted to go out doing what I love, with people I love, playing the music I've lived my whole life for. The tour was a triumph. Critics praised his energy, his sense of humour, and the poignancy of a man bidding adieu to the instrument that had defined him. In 2020, he released Frampton Forgets the Words, another instrumental album, featuring covers of Radiohead, David Bowie, and George Harrison. I chose songs by friends and heroes, he said, songs I couldn't sing anymore, so I let the guitar speak instead. Long ignored by the mainstream awards bodies, Frampton finally began receiving the plaudits he had long deserved. In 2024, he was honoured with the Les Paul Spirit Award.
Jack Les Paul Innovation Award.
That same year, it was announced that he would be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a full-circle moment for a man once written off as a relic of arena rock.
Fantastic. That's what you call a rock star. Peter Frampton!
It always blows me away, he told people, after everything, the ups, the downs, to still be here, still be heard, it's more than I ever expected. Frampton's influence is hard to quantify. He never became a cultural icon in the way of Bowie or Dylan, nor did he maintain a consistent hit factory like McCartney or Elton John. But among guitarists, he remains revered, not just for the pyrotechnics, but for the melodic clarity and emotional depth of his playing. John Mayer once described him as a guitarist's guitarist, someone who made the instrument sing, cry and dance, often within the same solo. For Frampton, though, the music was always the message. If someone listens to one of my solos and feels something, joy, sadness, hope, then I've done my job. That's all I ever wanted to do. And perhaps that's the most enduring thing about Peter Frampton. Not the poster fame, not the stadium roars, but the quiet sincerity of a man who simply loved the sound of six strings speaking truth.
I'd love to hear you scream all night.
Friday night, he took his final bow at the Garden.
I won't say goodbye.
And left the stage he first set foot on almost half a century ago.